Hello, this is Julia Bushkova, and I am continuing my Suzuki session. Now it will be book number 2. But before I proceed, I again need to make a disclaimer. I do not teach Suzuki method, and I normally do not teach anything from the Suzuki books. And also, I don't teach young children. So all of what I'm doing right now with Suzuki books, I am helping those of you who are studying by yourself, without a teacher, and you are probably older or adult beginners. So today I'm going to make some examples from the book number 2. First, I would like to get everybody's attention to the very important words, study points for volume 2. Suzuki method was written for children and not for adults. Again, if you're an adult and you would like to use some pieces, or people call them songs, but really they're pieces, from the Suzuki books, go ahead. But the material used in there actually is suited for children, and then you have to kind of slow yourself down and go with this. Okay, so I totally agree with the words that want you to play with good tone. Good tone is most important. And for that, tonalization, what Mr. Suzuki called tonalization, or what I call playing with good sound, is also very important. However, see here the very first line that I see of tonalization in this book tells you to play all with the third finger. It's written in such a way that it is completely impossible to play it correctly. So in my case, I would just skip that line. But I will go to the next line, and next line is basically G major arpeggio with couple notes, other notes, and that is pretty suitable. You have and the rest of this little line. Absolutely fine. You can always use the actual scale. In the traditional method in which I was growing, we just did scales and arpeggios. Also served us very well. Next tonalization is the same notes but in G minor. And here you are learning how to put the first finger back. And in order to do this, here where you want to be putting, for instance, second finger, and you want to be, you can play it on a C sharp, or probably C sharp will be best, or C natural. So if you're on a C natural and here's your first finger, what you want to do is to just move it back, just like this. Make sure that you don't press against the neck of the violin at all, or on a C sharp. Also move it, the first finger from the B to B flat, very freely. So you should be able to move like that. You can put your hand higher somewhere, place some finger on, and move your first finger all the way, just like that. Feel how it can expand there, because it can. And so that's a good thing to do before you start moving the first finger into the lower position, which is B flat on A string. Okay. So after you have done it, so here's the exercise. A good exercise to do. And repeat several times on all strings with different notes, obviously. What I would suggest to do with the book 2, I don't think that all of it needs to be studied only, in my humble opinion. So what I would like to do with the rest of the book 2 is to concentrate on the pieces and the numbers that I think are better for learning, and I will not do all of them like I did the book number 1. For instance, number 1 here, Handel chorus. That is a doable one. It's in maestoso. So what you want to looking for here, you're looking in the position of the fingers here. The pattern will be 1 and 2 together. So it's okay, and then you have the E if necessary. and it will be necessary on the second line. So again, the pattern is this, and then you are applying it in the little piece. Another thing that you will be using later on is this one. You will be using not exactly full pattern, but 4 and 3 together, and that you might want to also do as a preparatory exercise. And then when you play start learning the piece, of course, take it slower, go to the bars in which you will see faster values. That, and then next one. Okay, so that's what I recommend. I would recommend to actually concentrate on these measures and play the faster notes, not to play all the time from the beginning and then the notes when they come. Next one. So when you have this on the third line, that again, I would take it separately. First place the third finger and then the fourth, and then you'll be all set. And here it will go like this. Again, here I would recommend not hopping, but if you absolutely cannot help it, then I guess you will hop. And at first, I would play absolutely just a slur on this C and E, B, without stopping the bow. And later, when you know the notes, then you can stop the bow a little bit. And that's how you will do with in the next measure. And so on. Then the preparation of this E and the D sharp should happen in the bar before it. You play a note of F sharp there. 2, 3 on a note on the count of 4. Place your D sharp on the string. Don't play it. So 2, 3, 4. Usually on that C sharp, people do trill. You can do a slow trill, da 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 da, several times. You trill with your third finger. All right, I would not recommend to do the Bach's Musette. Then after that, Hunter's Chorus is a nice piece, but maybe to do it a bit later and not right there where it goes in the book. Long time ago is number 4, and that is exactly the same tune as was in the other book, but it's in a different key, and therefore your pattern is really this most of the time. Again, what I would do on some of this, I would probably use my fourth finger more than the open strings, but on the other hand, again, you already played long ago. If you want to play it again, you might as well. Variation of it, it's a bowing variation, okay? It's not for the left hand, it's for the bow. So if you find that, that's your tune, right? So variation goes. Okay, so it's in fast tempo, of course, already faster tempo in moderato. If you find it's very hard to deal with these string crossings on the down bows, just don't do them. Okay, so eliminate the lower Ds on the down bows and just play the tune's notes on the down bows, and that still will serve the purpose of you learning the two up, two little martelets, basically they are. Please watch my martelet bowing, and you will know how to do it. Now you will do two martelets on one bow. Again, little bite, and then release, release, bite and release. Okay, so the whole point here is those two ups, and to reach the down bow, the next note on the down bow is a bit complicated. The wrist has to be helpful here, but I think I will get to it in some other video. It's a bit too much. Next, Waltz by Brahms. It's also otherwise known as a lullaby. Well, yes, that one has a bit of the bowing, that the uneven bow, the slow, fast bow. Again, so that's slow bow and then fast, slow, fast. So when it's fast bow on the up, make sure that there are no accents. Again, for that, please watch my video about the uneven bows. And that pretty much is the most important, the biggest challenge here in the Brahms. I would skip the bourrée by Handel. There are way too many string crossings, completely unnecessary in my opinion. And the same thing goes with Schumann, not very comfortable. However, the theme from Witch's Dance seems to be popular, and it's a nice tune. And here goes like this. I will show you a little bit, and then I'll show you how you can practice it. Okay, so and the whole rest of it. So what we see here, we see here a bowing that you didn't basically do before, and that's again martelet-based bowing. You stop the bow, that was martelet, and then next note, even though there is a dot, do not stop the bow after that, and directly go into the next note. So never, ever, ever play like that. We never play like this. We don't sound that way, but that's how we indicate energy. The little dot, the dot over the short note always indicates energy. So again, you stop the bow after the first one, not this one. Again, stop, and that's how you get this nice sound. However, here, those are martelets, so biting a little bit in the beginning with the index finger is very necessary. Fingerings, I'm okay using these ones, open string. However, for the right hand, it will be best if you do this. If you change the bow in the pause, change the string in the pause, okay? The way it's given to you here for the left hand comfort is to play open E. Playing like that, which is actually harder to do. Again, it's your choice. You can try that one, you can try another one. It's a give or take. Either it's easier here or it's easier there. So, however, I would not recommend to do an E open in the bar number 4, in the measure number 4. So here's what's in your part. No, don't do it. Play fourth finger, just like you already did. Another thing you could do, actually probably I would do, is to play it like this. So first will be E open, and then will be E fourth finger, and that will be professionally much more sound fingerings. That's what we will do in the professional world if I were to play exactly the same notes. Professionally, I would use the fourth finger here, like this, and not, we just don't do that. Next element that you learn here is to play triplets in détaché. And again, how you do it first slower. Make sure that you are close to the E string to cross. Closer to the A string to cross. And then you will have a nice crossing there. Okay, so at the end, I don't think there are any other problems here or challenges, except when you go into meno mosso, and in piano, that's when you have a low first finger position. Here it has to be fourth finger, of course. And then you go back. All right, that was the end of the number 8 theme from Witch's Dance. I skipped on purpose, purposefully, the Hunter's Chorus by Weber, and that is number 3. So now I'm returning back to this Hunter Chorus because I think that's probably where I would teach it if I were to be teaching different pieces from this book. So here we go. What we want to learn in there. First of all, we want to polish, make it better, this bowing pattern, which you will be using at the later part of this piece. There are accents on the first notes. So basically what it does with the bow distribution, with your usage of the bow in this bow pattern, which of course you've already seen the bow pattern video, right? And that is, you're using accents, and therefore you use more bow on the accentuated notes and less bow on the 2/16 notes than the half of what you just used. So that would be the difference between what we do in a slower tempo and without accents, and a faster tempo with accents. Another thing that you learn here are the 16 notes that just are kind of squeezed here and there. You use suddenly 16 notes, so you need to be able to play them in a little scales as you have, and I would play them separately and train them as little scales, 5-note scales. The first one is actually in your bar number 1. The second one is what I call a loop. You return the same exactly with the same exactly fingerings to the initial note in the same faster tempo. Okay, and that way you memorize everything about your little passage up and back. Okay, so another thing that I would think is good here to learn is the bowings, and the bowings here I would make actually an amendment to the bowings that are printed and suggest a couple other bowings. So the beginning. So what you have printed, the 2 up bows in the bar number 4. So their 2 up bows are actually printed. I would recommend that you do the same 2 up bows in the bar number 2 and the bar number 3 as well. So the bar number 2. And that is bar number 4, also up, up. I would recommend to do this, and I would keep doing it in the next, on the next line. Of course, use your 4th finger. By now you should be good using your 4th finger, so not crossing the strings. That should be way into the past. But then in the 3rd line, it's actually good to play little martelets as they come, as we say it, as we call them. Okay, so then here you will be doing them in the different parts of the bow. Then I skip a little bit. I will return to the next line, actually skipping one line, then going to. So a possibility here to do again 2 ups, or you can stay with separate bows. However, with the fingerings, I'm not very crazy about them. Usually, professionally, we try to avoid playing only one note on a neighboring string. So here the ideal fingerings probably will be, in other words, 1, 4, 3, open. So that's what I would give to my student to play. And then you have again, you have little stops, less martelé stops after the A's. And then before you learn to do your accents, accents are done just like beginning of martelé, with a little bit of pressure on the index finger. All right, so next here I am skipping forward to the part that I think is useful to learn, and that would be the Thomas Gavotte from Minuet. And in here there are many 16 notes, so those 16 notes you have to go to them and learn them on the slur, like so. Okay, instead of playing all of them, all separate bows. And every time you have them, I would go to them, isolate them, and practice them on the slur for the left hand. Another thing that appears in this piece, it's number 9 again, you have a short trill, introduction to the short trill. And that's in your on your second line, first bar of the second line. Again, I will do exactly these bowings at first. So changing the bow on the F sharp, that is a 16 note, okay, and not just immediately playing the way it's written. When your left hand knows what you're doing, then you are going to do the bowings, written bowings, and it will be like this. You will actually stop the bow after that F sharp, and you will slightly stop the bow after the E open as well. I do recommend to play 4th finger on the G sharp, then you have, okay, on the G sharp, use 4th finger, and then you will be using your 3 right away. Also, about fingerings, no, I would not recommend to do open strings on D and A. So beginning, of course 4th, of course 4th. You don't want to be crossing strings for absolutely no reason. After this, the difficulty here would be your some of the string crossings, like that. Again, learning it left hand at first in 2 notes per bow. Would be useful, then 4 notes. And only then playing the way it is all written. Also, you could use separate bows all. Also a good idea here, and then you do your 2 slurred and 2 separate. 2 slurred, 2 separate gets you to the bowing pattern 1. By the way, bowing patterns are important things. Okay, and then you have some of the low first finger, and remember that the first finger has to be very mobile and easily go back. And again, play everything 16 notes in slurs at first. The very ending is done like this. I would use, again, not E open necessarily, but the 4th finger. Here I would use E open. So because you have to use the time, it's easier, it will be ringing better. So ear training that is given at the end of the gavotte, in my opinion, can be done as early as you want, and that is basically tuning your octaves. Very good idea on all of these notes. Very useful. Gavotte by Lully. Yeah, probably what I would recommend from this, it's a kind of awkward piece in some ways, again, for the bow. So if you want to play it, of course, and in that case, I would suggest for you that you go in the a tempo ma più agitato, those, the lines where you have 8 notes, straight 8 notes, and don't play what's before, just start there on the second half of this bar, when you start having basically scales, and play them slower in 2 notes per bow. Here, keep your 3rd finger on the string, extend your 4th. Now, I would like you to see that my thumb actually here, wherever it was before, if it was slightly more close to the 1st finger, for that stretch, I would move my thumb somewhat closer to my 3rd finger. And so here you basically have this stretch forward, and then you will be having stretch back with the 1st finger. Again, it has to be very free to move. I would personally probably use 4th finger, maybe open is good here. Definitely 4th on that E. And then when you're ready, you will go to 4 notes per bow. And I would keep playing this 4th finger E so that you don't have to cross over one string. It's not very comfortable. So anytime you have that E, I would play it as a 4th finger. So the rest of the piece is okay, and you'll be able to do it. Again, be comfortable. Don't play E open when you can play 4th finger. It will be more comfortable for the bow. Last 2 are the Minuet number 11 and the Minuet number 12. The Beethoven's Minuet, it's actually a very doable piece. And here in the bow, you would use, so there are slight accents there. I would just use a little bit more bow on them. So here, I would not necessarily aim for stopping bow between long D and then E, basically playing it legato slur. And next one is as it comes, as we call. And then next one. So you have 2 choices. You can put already 2nd finger in the half position, which probably is what I would choose to do. And then you move that 1st finger that was on A sharp, you will move it back to the E, to the B, recovering your 1st position. So 4th finger definitely on that A. And then it repeats. Later, before the 1st ending, 2 measures before, I would do up bow on B, 4th finger on that A, and basically again legato. And then you will just finish here. So in the trio here, you have more notes up bow kind of martelet, getting you closer to the up bow staccato. And that really is a little bit of up bow staccato by now. So when you have, for all practical purposes, there are like 4 martelets on the up bow. You do exactly the same thing as you did on martelets when there were 2 of them in the previous tunes, in the previous pieces. Remember that for thin fingers, it's very hard to put the finger on two strings together and sound in tune and not fuzzy. So what we do, we kind of put it on two strings, but we lean on one and then we lean on the other. First finger is luckier, doesn't have to do it much, but the third and second should do it a lot of times, and I talked about this in the Suzuki book number 1. All right, so here it goes in a trio. Use third finger here. Second. Okay, so you match 3 and then 2. The same note matching with 3 and 2. A very good skill to have. Then skip a bar, and when you are having right here, you do go onto the second finger on the B, and then first. Again, here I probably would play fourth finger. If you like open string, you can do open string. Definitely use the fourth finger, not A open, the one measure before first ending. Definitely. So. And then you go to the repeat, or you end and you go da capo al fine. Last piece in here is number 12, Minuet by Boccherini, a lovely piece in which you will be doing syncopations. On those syncopations you have accents written. I would, for the sake of music, I would recommend not to overdo them. They are there for a good reason, but not to overdo them. So what you want to sound like is like this, and not that will happen if you overdo those accents. So first things first, we have to have the strong beat on 1 out of the 3. 1. So what those accents doing there is to prevent you from counting with your bow like this. That's what a lot of people do at first, because it's hard to coordinate the bow not playing on the strong beat, and meanwhile a strong beat being there. So that's why those accents are for. But in fact, actually, if any accent is there should be accent on the first beat out of 3. Then you will use the fourth finger, and the bowings will not be what I just played, they will be up and down. If you do this trill, that's how you will start it. For second finger. And if you do without the trill, and actually I would recommend at first, whenever you have any trill or any grace note or any mordent on your notes, please always play without them, just a good note with its full correct rhythm. It's very important. So after this, bowing wise, after the second ending, at the end of the second ending, pick up, fourth finger, 4, 3. Then you return to the main tune, the refrain. And in trio, when you're practicing the trio, at first without any stops, you notice that I used some slurs, more slurs. That's what I would do. Again, that's for the left hand, to learn the left hand. And for that, please watch my video on learning the left hand. And after that, after you know the left hand very well, then you go to the bowings that are printed. The same thing for the dots. We add the dots after we learned everything in the correct bow direction already, separate bows, but only after that we actually would use the dots. So the dots are the icing on the cake, not the cake. So first we need to learn everything else. But that's pretty much that in this piece. A little bit more of syncopations, the 3 bars before the end, before da capo al fine, and it's on the note of E. By the way, it would be much better just to go there and learn that bowing first there. So. Do you see what I'm doing? I actually am doing the accent on the strong beat with a little bow, half bow. And I would suggest that you do the same. If you learn it here, it will be much easier to put it into the beginning when you have nice tune there as well. All right, I hope that has been helpful and you will practice very well and sound better, and like and subscribe, and I will see you all later.